Anong pumapasok sa isip natin kapag nababanggit ang pangalang Jose Rizal? Ang matapang na nobelista ng Doli Metangere na gumising sa kamalayan ng mga Pilipino. Ang bayaning binaril sa lunit. Ang makata na nagsabi, ang taong di marunong magmahal sa sariling wika ay higit pa ang amoy sa malabisang isda. Ano ang kanyang tunay na pagkatao?
Rizal's childhood and education in Calamba. Jose Rizal was born on June 19, 1861 in Calamba, Laguna, Philippines. He grew up in a well-off family and received his early education from his mother, Doña Teodora, and private tutors. His childhood in Calamba was marked by idyllic moments but also exposed him to the injustices and abuses of Spanish colonial rule, particularly the mistreatment of Filipinos by friars and authorities. These experiences instilled in him a desire to explore the world, seek higher education, and advocate for social justice and reform in his homeland.
Departure for Spain. Rizal's departure for Spain was kept secret to avoid detection by the Spanish authorities and the friars. Even his own parents didn't know because his mother would not allow him to do so. Only his older brother, his uncle, his sister, Neneng, and Lucia, the Valenzuela family, Pedro Paterno, Mateo Evangelista, the Ateneo Jesuit, fathers, and some intimate friends. The Jesuit priest gave him letters of recommendation to the members of their society in Barcelona. He used the name Jose Mercado. Before his departure, he wrote a farewell letters for his beloved parents and another for his sweetheart Leonor Rivera. On May 3, 1882, Rizal departed on board the Spanish steamer Salvadora, bound for Singapore. With tears in his eyes and gloom in his head, he gave the receding skyline of Manila. He then took his pencil and paper and sketched it as it vanished in view. In Madrid, on November 3, 1882, Rizal enrolled in the Universidad Central de Madrid. He took up two courses, medicine and philosophy and letters. Aside from the two major courses, he also studied painting and sculpture in the Academy of Fine Arts of San Fernando. He took lessons in French, German, and English under private instructors and assiduously practiced fencing and shooting in the Hall of Arms of Sans y Carbonell. Rizal lived a simple life in Madrid and knew that he came to Spain to study and prepare himself for the service of his fatherland. He budgets his money and time and never wasted a peseta for gambling, wine, and women. On Saturday evening, he visits the home of Don Pablo Ortiga y Rey, who live with his son and daughter. Don Pablo has been city mayor of Manila. Rizal then had a love affair with Consuelo Ortiga y Perez, the daughter of Don Pablo Rizal. Being a lonely man in a foreign country and far from his natal land, was attracted by Consuelo's beauty and vivacity. Their love did not flourish because he was still engaged to Leonor Rivera, and a friend of Rizal is also in love with Consuelo. He is just 21 years old when he went to Spain. And dalawang beses siyang nanirahan sa Madrid. Una is noong 1882 hanggang 1885 noong nag-aral siya sa Madrid. Pangalawa noong 1890 to 1891 para bumalik siya para maglabi at para magsagawa ng mga gawaing reformista sa Madrid. Rizal became active in a Filipino student reformist led by Paterno and Luna brothers. In Facultad de Medicina de San Carlos, nag-aral si Rizal ng panggagamot. Some of Rizal's professors are well-known Spanish physicians like Manuel Mariani, Gonzalez Encenas, and Jose de Tamendi. Just like Rizal, one of the product of his school is Santiago Ramon y Cajal, a Nobel Prize awardee. Unang nanirahan si Rizal sa Calle Amor de Dios, number 13 to 15. Tumira si Rizal kasama ang kanyang kaibigan na si Vicente Gonzalez na dati na niyang kakilala sa Ateneo de Manila. 8 beses nagpalipat-lipat ng bahay si Rizal sa Madrid. In Facultad de Filosofía y Letras of the Universidad Central, where Rizal obtained his licenciatura in Filosofía y Letras in 1885. In Universidad Central, Rizal took courses in history, Spanish and Greek literature, Latin, Hebrew, and Arabic. So Rizal went to Madrid to study medicine and philosophy.
Dr. Rizal's time in Paris was a crucial period in his life, where he continued his studies and was deeply influenced by the French culture, literature, and politics, shaping his worldview significantly. Rizal arrived in Paris in 1885, seeking advanced education and intellectual growth. He enrolled in various universities and institutions, including the University of Paris, where he studied medicine, ophthalmology, and other sciences. His time in Paris allowed him to expand his knowledge and skills, particularly in the medical field, which would later contribute to his advocacy for healthcare reforms in the Philippines. Beyond academic pursuits, Rizal immersed himself in the vibrant cultural scene of Paris. He frequently went to libraries, museums, and literary circles, where he encountered the works of prominent French writers such as Victor Hugo, Émile Zola, and Alexandre Dumas. These encounters broadened his literary horizons and fueled his passion for writing, eventually leading him to pen some of his influential works, including Noli Me Tangere and Alfred Filibusterism. Moreover, Rizal was exposed to the political landscape of France, characterized by debates on democracy, nationalism, and social justice. He witnessed the aftermath of the French Revolution and the struggles of the French people for freedom and equality. These experiences deeply influenced Rizal's political beliefs and activism, inspiring him to advocate for reforms and liberation in his homeland. Therefore, Rizal's time in Paris was a transformative period remarked by intellectual growth, cultural immersion, and political awakening. His experiences in the city shaped his worldview and convictions, laying the groundwork for his future role as a nationalist, reformer, and revolutionary leader in the Philippines.
Heidelberg, Germany. Nurturing nationalism. During his stay in Heidelberg, Germany, Rizal pursued further studies in medicine and philosophy. It was during this time that Rizal's nationalist sentiments were further nurtured as he witnessed the injustice faced by his fellow Filipinos under Spanish colonial rule. Rizal actively engaged in promoting Filipino causes abroad, participating in discussions with fellow intellectuals and writing articles that criticized the Spanish regime and advocated for reforms in the Philippines. He also continued his literary pursuits, penning works that exposed the abuse of colonial authorities, inspired national pride among Filipinos. Rizal's time in Heidelberg played a crucial role in shaping his identity as a nationalist and reformer, laying the groundwork for his future activism in the Philippines. Jose Rizal had a significant impact on the Filipino people. He was a key member of the Filipino propaganda movement, advocating for Filipino political reforms. Rizal's writing inspired anti-colonial revolution, leading to Philippine independence. His works also provided a critique of colonial society and language, as well as discussing requirements of emancipation. Rizal's writings and correspondence shed light on corruption in the 19th century Philippines, offering insights into colonial life and the nature of power. Lastly, Rizal's political writings inspired the Philippine Revolution and his execution by Spanish colonizers. His vision of the nation, rooted in compassion and justice, resonated with the revolutionary spirit of the time. Overall, Rizal's life and works played a crucial role in shaping Filipino nationalism and the fight for independence.
Rizal in Asia, Hong Kong, 1888 to 1889. Rizal spent almost 2 years in Hong Kong, primarily to escape the oppressive Spanish authorities in the Philippines. During his time there, he worked as an ophthalmologist and continued his writing against Spanish colonial rule. Rizal closely observed the socio-political conditions of Hong Kong, which was a melting pot of different cultures and ideologies. He interacted with the Chinese community and learned about the struggles against foreign domination, which influence of his own nationalist sentiments. Japan, 1888. Rizal visited Japan briefly during his journey to Hong Kong. He was impressed by Japan's rapid modernizations and admired its effort to embrace Western technology while preserving its cultural identity. Rizal saw Japan as a model for the Philippines to follow in its quest for independence from Spanish colonial rule. He noted that Japanese people's pride in their heritage and their determination to advance their nation, which inspired him to his own nationalist endeavors. Singapore, 1882 to 1888. Rizal visited Singapore twice during his travels. He was struck by the diversity of cultures in the city-state and harmonious coexistence of different ethnic groups. Rizal recognized the importance of unity among the various Filipino ethnic groups in their struggle against colonial oppression. His experiences in Singapore reinforced his belief in the power of collective action and cultural solidarity. Other countries. Rizal also visited other Asian countries, including China and Thailand. During his travels, he observed the effects of colonialism and imperialism on these nations and sympathized with their struggles for independence. Rizal's encounters with diverse Asian cultures and enriched his understanding of nationalism and enforced his commitment to fighting for the rights and dignity of all oppressed people. Rizal's travel through Asia broadened his perspective on nationalism and reinforced his belief in the importance of cultural pride, unity, resistance against colonial oppression. His observations of Asian societies and cultures inspired his nationalist ideas and contributed to his role as a key figure in the Philippines independence movement.
So, in Tapitan, excel in contribution of Rizal. So, let's talk about that. So, Jose Rizal arrival in Manila on June 26, 1892 was highly anticipated by Filipino people. Because of his popularity, the Spaniards were afraid of him and closely monitored every move of him. As a result, every home he visited was searched and aid established that every Filipino spotted him were taken out into suspicion. So, as arranged, he established the Liga Filipina on July 3, 1892 in Loreto Ongho, home in Tondo City, Manila. So, let us move on from his arrival in Tapitan. So, under this strict surveillance, Rizal sailed from Manila to Mindoro and Panay on the steamer Cebu before arriving in Dapitan at 7 o'clock in the evening on June 17. So from this point until July 31, 1896, Dapitan served as his sole observer of one of Rizal's most productive eras. So Rizal spent much of his time in this province, just he's living in exile. So during this time, he concentrated more on civic engagement, medical expertise, land development, and support education to have better lives for the Filipino people and society. So, By that point, he's challenged to the religion. So Rizal engaged Father Pablo in his scholarly discussion about religion while they are in Tapitan. So the debate between the two individuals exposed that Rizal is an anti-Christian sentiments that as he harbored sentiments towards to the friars for the mistreatment of religions. So unfortunately, Father Pablo made every effort in vain to bring back Rizal faith. So both of them failed to pursue and other of his conclusion or point of contentions and serious arguments are ended inclusively. So Rizal maximized stays in the Pitan by devoting much of his time to his improving of work artistically and literally skills, doing agriculture and community work, engaging in business activities, and also write letters to his friends in Europe, especially Ferdinand and Reinhold Rost. So in his contribution, Rizal contributed so many improvement like in agricultural products, also guaranteed farmers profits and founded his first consumer to cooperate and enable people to buy goods and reasonable prices. With his aid, many students whom participated in his school so that they can develop skills and like construction and brick making. He also contributed to construct a water tank and also constructed a street lamps, a garden relief map of Mindanao and town park. Also, he built also several communities from the pitan by using clays and lime with the assistance of the LGU and the people. So also he would usually read and write in evenings and put his novels every night, and among those noteworthy aspects by his writing was also a long and correspondence. So one of his contribution as a physician, so Rizal patients were poor, he also contributed like he gave them free medicine. However, also he gave wealthy clients who were willing to pay him drastically for superior surgical abilities. So among them was Eraclano Hacendero who paid Rizal's from a cargo sugar and gave him 3,000 pesos for restoring his eyesight, and an Englishman who gave him 500 pesos. So his proficiency was tested when his mother, Doña Teodora Alonso, went cataract surgery for the third time. So the produce went well, but Alonso took bandages in her eyes against her son's advice, which caused by irritation and infection. Also, one of his contribution as his engineer, like I said in my last video, I mentioned that his Dapitan waterwork system in Rizal's put his knowledge to use. So, in returning in his academic career, Rizal graduated from Ateneo with the title of expert in superiority by reading books about engineering and expand his knowledge beyond his experience as an agriculture. Because of this, he was able to effectively provide the province with a good water and system. Also, one of his contribution as his engineer, like I said in my last video, I mentioned that his Dapitan waterwork system in Rizal's put his knowledge to use. So, in returning in his academic career, Rizal graduated from Ateneo with the title of expert in superiority by reading books about engineering and expand his knowledge beyond his experience as an agriculture. Because of this, he was able to effectively provide the province with a good water and system. So next, as an agriculturist in Dapitan, Rizal spent his time in planting various important crops and fruit bearing his trees with 16 hectare lands and expand to 70 hectares. So his contribution is to import agricultural machineries from US and introduce modern farming techniques from the local farm in Dapitan. So Rizal envisioned establishing an agricultural colony in Sitio near Sandigan Bay, believing that this ideal of cattle raising and growing cash crops due to its abundant water supplies.